Hello, and welcome to another episode of Dating in the Wild. With me today, I have a special friend, a dear friend of mine. I've known you for years now, actually. My friend Honey
Yep.
Spacebox.
Hi.
So, Honey, tell everyone a little bit about yourself or whatever it is that you want to share about yourself.
Well, I am currently a single lady. I've never been married for many reasons. Um, I love the theater. I also love my own personal freedom. So I'm very particular about people who I spend my time with, who I choose to live my life with, like you, Gloria.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah.
important stuff. Yes. So now you have a Dating in the Wild story to share with us. And like me,
Yeah.
you also don't rely on dating apps. And so most of your dating stories, if not all, are people that you've met organically, right?
True. I don't trust the dating app because I can't physically feel a person's presence through a dating app. I can't feel if I don't get the spidey senses tingling saying, oh, stay away from this person, or oh, you're drawn to this person. You just can't do that through a computer screen. And it doesn't
Mhm.
matter what facts are listed on face, it doesn't necessarily mean that's who they are. And you only find out who they are by being in their presence.
Very
So yeah,
true.
dating apps, I still don't understand why people would do that. I don't get it.
It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. Okay. So then tell us, who is this person that you met and how did you guys meet?
So this person's name is Nathan, and it is one of those classic stories of we met through mutual friends. One of my dear friends who I was working with was getting married, and of course, when you get married, you have a lot of events that happen before the wedding. You have a lot of showers and dinners
Mhm.
and parties in preparation.
Yep.
And he was a friend of her future husband's. And the very first time that we met, we were at the engagement party, bring your present, say congratulations, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I was one of the first ones there. And I remember looking out the big plate glass window at this house, and he was walking down the hill, and I thought, oh wow, that guy's kind of cute. And as the evening progressed, we sort of eyeballed each other from across the room and we were introduced. Hi, I'm Nathan. Hi, I'm Jessica. How are you? And every time we would try to talk to someone, somebody else would sort of step in between us and prevent us from speaking rather casually. And by the end of the evening, and I was ready to go, and he was about getting ready to leave too. I looked at him. I said, well, Nathan, it was nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get to talk to you at the wedding. And he grabbed my hand and he looked me in the eyes. He goes, it was nice to meet you too. Yes, let's talk at the wedding. And it was just very pointed and very like we connected on that level of we wanted to speak to one another, but we acknowledged that it wasn't going to happen in this environment.
Mm.
There the wedding comes and it's out of town. It's a coastal wedding. So I drove coast and I got my little hotel and got ready and went to the wedding. Um,
Mm.
and he was one of the grooms. So I'm watching the wedding. It's beautiful. And then, of course, there's the big, beautiful reception with all the food. And I'm in line with my plate and some of my friends. And all of a sudden, I see him walking through one of the doors and he sees me and he comes and he stands in front of me and he says, hey, good to see you again. I was like, yeah, good to see you too. And I could tell that he remembered who I was. He could not remember my name. And
Oh.
so I was like, I'm not going to give it to him. He's going to need to work for that. He's like, I said, did you want to join me in line? He's like, yeah, thanks. I said, Jessica, my name is Jessica. He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that. I remember that. And the guy in him heard this exchange, turned around, looked at him, and just laughed in his face. And I was like, oh, wow, you busted. So he's like, yep, apparently. He's like, sorry, I'm just really bad with names. Like, that's fine. He gets his plate full of food. I get my plate full of food. He's like, hey, let's come sit at this table over here.
Oh, he
So
didn't have like an
we eat dinner.
assigned,
As we were talking,
sorry to interrupt, he didn't have like an assigned
no,
groomsman spot.
no, it was pretty casual once they got to the dinner. because we were eating out on the patio area, lanai area, which overlooked the bay.
Mm.
So it was a really beautiful spot. So we're eating and we're talking, and we find out that we have a lot in common. He is half Iranian, and he's very interested in Debki. I, of course, spent 15 years studying belly dance, so I know a lot about Debki, things like that. And a lot of people don't. So we had little things like that in common. And as we kept talking and kept talking, we had so many things in common. We enjoyed each other's company already. And like people that we knew, mutual friends, would like walk by the table and be like, I'll see you. You're flirting. As the night progressed, they had like this pier that you could walk down to the end and look out over the ocean. It was very beautiful and romantic. Unfortunately, it was under large lights. So he's like, sure, do you want to walk down the pier? I'm like, yeah, sure. So we walked down to the end of the pier. We're talking some more. We're getting along, but famously, I'm like, this guy is really incredible. I really like him.
Mm.
Hopefully, maybe we date. I don't know. These things going in my head. He grabs me and he kisses me. Very romantic. Until we break away and we realize that we are under a large spotlight at the end of the pier and everybody on the beach can see us. So that private moment was not really private, it's kind of public out
Oh.
there for every one of the wedding guests to see.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, hey everybody.
Yeah.
So as we're walking back, we're gonna go get cake, do all that kind of stuff you do at a wedding. And people are just like looking and be like, saw that, saw you there. I'm like, yeah, okay. Trying to cover up the embarrassment a little bit. So we go and he's like, let's just go watch TV in my room. And I'm like, oh, I know what that means. I'm not stupid. But okay, we'll go watch TV in your room.
Because
And
he had a
he has
hotel
like
room as well.
yeah, the resort area had like rooms that like the groomsmen and the bridal party could rent out, so they could already be there the night or the day of the wedding, so they didn't have to drive in. It's a really great spot for a wedding. So we go in there and we watching TV for a little bit, and then of course, he does that thing that guys do when they make their move, and they're never slick about it. He like pretends he's yawning and puts his arm around me, and then I'm like, yeah, blinds are open, dude. So he gets up and he shuts the blinds and pants off, and I'm like, really, really? We just met. You don't know my last name, and you already got your pants off. Really? Is this? And I start thinking to myself, am I going to do this? Is this something? Do I want that to be the atypical wedding hookup, and then you never see this person again, and you have to
Because it
spend the next
happens.
3 weeks wondering if you have like.
It
I
happens.
know. Do you
You're
have
like,
chlamydia?
I think you're my first wedding story. And as they say, like weddings, a popular place to hook up
Up.
for weddings and a funeral story, whatever it is. But yeah. Oh, so
So we
okay,
ended
sorry.
up making out, and we were in there for a couple of hours making out, doing stuff. And apparently people had come by the windows and were like trying to see in the blinds to see who he was with and what he was doing. I was like, that's rude. But anyway, so it was getting late. I wanted to go back to my hotel, which was 30 miles away. It was the middle of the dark. It was dark. It was like out on the coast, so it's not exactly well lit areas. So I was like, well, I'm going to go home, back to my hotel. Here's my number. Give me a call.
Mhm.
We'll see what happens. He's like, yeah, okay. Well, let me walk you out to your car. I'm like, okay.
Sure.
And so he walks me out to my car and he's just making out all over me. He's like, when I go back and spend the night at your place. I'm like, okay, why not? We'll see what happens. So we drive back to my hotel, which is 30 miles away.
Mhm.
We get up to my room and we start just making out and kissing and everything. And we end up sleeping together, which was fine. No complaints there. He had a beautiful body, ex-military. He was gorgeous. Part of the evening, we had talked about having kids, and I was already like, well, I'm a little old to have kids. Maybe I'll adopt, but it's not really a goal of mine to have kids. I work with kids all day long. I don't need them at the house when I get home.
Wow, this is
So
just
the next morning, after we've been
that's a
together,
pretty deep and heavy conversation to have, like upon really initially meeting someone.
oh, we covered all the bases. Like I know so much personal stuff about his mother, his twin brother, his dad. I mean, personal stuff. Could
But
write his
sometimes you just
biography.
have that kind
I
of
know,
connection with someone.
I know about, and we did, and that's why I was working off this, that we really just hit it off immediately. Like he was
Hmm.
somebody who felt like we were close friends immediately.
Yeah.
So it's the morning. I'm getting ready to leave. And I was like, well, hey, do you want to get together? He's like, yeah, we can hook up and have fun sometimes. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, we'll just, hook up and have fun. I'm like, why don't you suddenly want to date me? He's like, oh, you don't want to have kids. So not really worth my time. And I was like, well, that's rude. I was like, well, thank you for your honesty. There's the door. Feel free to use it. So I'm driving back home, and it's 3.5 to 4 hours to get back to, well, I was living in Austin at the time. The whole time I am just kind of livid and kind of kicking myself. I'm like, why did I do that? Why was I stupid enough to do that? And I was like, well, no, I liked this person. I was personally ready to be invested in something with this person. He and I did have something that connected. It was in fact something there. But as he is a guy and he does lead his life with his penis, um, that was what was the most important deciding factor for him.
At that
And
at that
no,
point
it would
in
not work
time,
out.
at that moment, that
At the
was like,
at that
yeah.
moment, but I was still really disappointed because he and I had so many things in common and so many random things in common. Like there's not too many guys who will want to listen to Arabic music. I'm fine with it. 15 years of belly dance. I know what I'm listening to. Different things like that. We had mutual friends. So we were going to be seeing each other from time to time at social events. It was going to happen.
Mm.
Um, so I get back a few months later. I've told my friend about what had happened, and she was rather disappointed that that's what he had chosen to do.
The bride, you mean?
Um, and yes, jump forward about a year and a half later. I'm in grad school. I've moved to San Marcos. Um, we're on a Christmas break, so I've got a few weeks off. And I get this text from him. He's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, hello, stranger who I haven't spoken to in a year and a half.
Yeah.
How are you? And we start talking. And again, hit it off immediately. We're immediately in conversation where it's just easy conversation. It's easy to be around him. He's like, do you want to go to dinner? Oh, sure. He can take me to dinner. It's fine. Whatever. I'm a poor grad student. I could use a free meal. I'm good. He comes down, picks me up. We go eat dinner and a movie. We're talking again, just like it was before. Everything's good. Everything's easy. I'm finding out about his life. He's started a business. He's got his own home. He's doing very well. Um, he's having successes. Here's the fun part that I forgot to mention. So I'm waiting for him to come to my apartment. He knocks on the door. I open the door. He walks in, picks me up, puts him on top of him, and says, "Hey, let's get you pregnant," and then starts making out with me.
What?
Yeah. I said, hold on, let me remember what you look like, and then maybe we'll talk about children. He puts me down and he's like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. And how are you doing? How was your life? So then I get the life update. Then we go out to dinner. He's being very chivalrous. He's trying really hard to impress me with all of that. I'm like, I'm so happy for you. I'm glad that these things are, working out for you and blah, blah, blah. We're in the movie and somebody needs to tell boys to stop doing this completely forever. We're sitting next to each other in the movie and he wants to like feed me. And I'm like,
Like feed you
okay, fine.
popcorn? Like,
Yeah. So he does the first bite. He's like, you have to taste this. It's really good. I was like, okay. And so he does. And while I'm chewing, he's like, have another bite. Only this way he circumnavigates my face. To get to my face, he goes via my boobs and up and across. And I'm like, did you really think that was smooth? When you went across the boobs and up to the mouth? Did you think that was going to work? Did you think I was not aware that you were doing that? Is that hello? And I almost choked laughing, but I was like, I'm not going to be rude. Maybe this guy just does not have that kind of game that he wants to have.
So
Maybe
he
not time to call him out on that. It'll make him feel bad and insecure, which he clearly is, that he went for that move to begin with. So we go back to my place and we're talking. And again, it's that we fell into that. We just clicked immediately. Great conversation, great just feeling about him. I physically attracted to him, intellectually attracted to him. Again, that he wanted to have kids. That was his agenda. And we talked about it. He's like, well, I'm 35. It's time for me to have kids. Okay. I'm not sure why that has to do with me because I was much older than him. He knows that I'm older than him.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, I'm in grad school. You want me to get pregnant right now in the middle of grad school? And then what? How would that work? He's like, well, you could come stay with me and yeah, just go from there. And my first thought is, wow, he has got tunnel vision. He's going after everything that he wants. He's got his life goals lined up and he's achieving them. He wanted to start a business. He started a business. He wanted his own house. He just finished remodeling his own house. He's got his goals. I'm very impressed with that. I really, but he sees me as a walking uterus. And I thought,
Sounds like it.
that's not who I am. He's not all his great qualities. He refuses to acknowledge that I am a human being that happens to have a uterus. I am not a uterus that happens to be attached to a human being. So he spends the night where again we enjoy each other's company except for that one thing. The next day he goes on his merry way. He's like, well, it's been great to see you again, and if you want to have kids, just call me. Okay, that's not like, do you want to get drink? Call me. Do you want to have children? Do you want to create a person? Call me.
Do you want to be a family? Do you want to build a family? If you're interested in building a family, give me a call.
I don't even think he would care if I was related to him as long as I carried his seed to full birth and spawned his little creation and just, took care of the house or whatever. I don't think he would care if I existed. Now, why why would I continue to date this person? Well, I have not dated this person since I don't have any ill will for him. He has a goal he wants to achieve. It's not my goal. It's not my job to help him achieve it. But I hope he does because he would be a good father. He would focus all his attention on his child. I do have every faith in that.
Mhm.
Um, and I think my takeaway very much on that sort of big life lesson from that experience with him, because part of me still laughs at him just walking in the door, hey, let's get you pregnant, is I know exactly what I want and I don't need to make room for somebody else to get it. If I'm going to make room for somebody else, it's because that somebody else is what I want. So after that, anytime I spent, and I don't remember if you remember Phil, I dated him off and on for a decade. Unfortunately, he passed away from COVID this past year.
Yeah.
But that was somebody who is worth making time in my life for. And I know exactly what I'm doing when I make time in my life for that person.
Yeah.
And that experience definitely thought, no, I am not going to be the traditional, okay, we're going to get married and have a family because that's what we do. That's not at all who I am. And that's not at all what I need. And that's not how I'm going to live my life. And I know that with confidence.
Yeah.
So that when I am out dating somebody, looking to see what aspects of their life, my first thought is always going to be, is this person worth giving my time to? Because I find my time very, very precious. And I'm not going to go along with, oh, this is what you do when you meet a guy, when you have a relationship, you just follow these steps.
Mhm.
No, that's never going to be.
Yeah. Those cookie cutter steps don't fit for everyone.
No. Some people they work for, I
Mhm.
don't understand it, but that's not my life and that's okay.
Yeah.
So I look back on that time with him as not only a big learning lesson, but I did genuinely enjoy his company when he wasn't looking at me like a uterus. But otherwise, I did find him someone who I enjoyed spending time with at that point in time in my life. And so it's
Yeah.
not, I don't regret it. Acknowledge this was not the path for me.
Right, right, right. So then
So
you're not in contact with this person anymore.
Facebook, that's about it. We don't spend, I mean, after that, his focus was on finding a woman to give him a child. And he was not interested in, until he got that, until he had that woman with the child, he does not want to have casual friends, women friends that were
Yeah,
not going to proffer a child for him.
yeah. Some
No,
people want,
I don't have anything against him. If I
some,
saw him in Austin, I would give him a hug and say hello.
yeah. Some people
So
want what they want. And the the restrictions or the
I respect that.
stipulations, the terms of that type of, you know,
Hmm.
whatever check their box agenda is different than what most people picture. So that's interesting. Um, but that's good also that you could see the positive side of this situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a, I don't, it's not, some people, I've shared this story with friends before and they were like, what a jerk. And I'm like, I don't think he was a jerk. I think he wanted what he wanted. I think he was a bit awkward in how he tried to go after it with me, but
Right. Like he was being
he's a
genuinely
human. He's
himself.
wants, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You can't
And
fault someone for that.
that's okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. He and I were not the right fit. 90% of what we were was the right fit, but that last final 10% that really is the most important 10% was not the right fit. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine.
And sometimes, yeah, sometimes you have chemistry like that with someone. But yeah, like you said, then there's like one or two things that just aren't on the same page, and there you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's that one or two things that will be the deciding factor.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for sharing this story. And you said some very prophetic things. So hopefully, people watching and listening got something out of that. And not to be afraid to put themselves out there, as the two of you both did, in standing firm with what you wanted and still enjoying this experience. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Glow.
Yes. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Dating in the Wild, and we'll see you next time. Bye.